If you're driving on one of those streets and a mob comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you. You don't have to sit there and just be a sitting duck and let the mob grab you out of your car and drag you through the streets. You have a right to defend yourself in Florida.
So many outrageous things are happening in the news every day that sometimes it just seems like you got to take a step back and look and see if there's something bigger going on.
And we also have a policy that if you're driving on one of those streets and a mob comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you. You don't have to sit there and just be a sitting duck and let the mob grab you out of your car and drag you through the streets. You have a right to defend yourself in Florida.
The president warned that any protests on Saturday would be met with force. Can you clarify what kind of protest President Trump does support or find acceptable?
The president absolutely supports peaceful protests. He supports the First Amendment. He supports the right of Americans to make their voices heard. He does not support violence of any kind. He does not support assaulting law enforcement officers who are simply trying to do their job. It's very clear for the president what he supports and what he does not. Unfortunately for Democrats, that line has not been made clear, and they've allowed this unrest and this violence to continue, and the president has had to step in.
One question. So if there were peaceful protests on Saturday for the military parade, President Trump would allow that?
Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question. Raquel.
The main headline across America right now is the deportation immigration issue. Now I want to ask you a question. How is it that Barack Obama deported 5.3 million people compared to Trump's 1.5 in his first term? If Trump would have did 1.5 million in both terms, that still would only be 3 million people. In Barack's 2 terms, he did 5.3 million deportations. And you just have to wonder, how is it that we never really heard anything about this in the media? No one was making a big deal out of it. Everyone just supported what he was doing. But for whatever reason, when President Trump starts deporting people, which he's at 160,000 right now this year, so far, the media is definitely going against the grain with everything that he's doing. And you just have to think that this is controlled. Somebody is wanting this to happen, and it is creating a way for them to divide us all so they can conquer us all as usual. Now, here's a prime example of CNN deflecting the truth so they can continue with their narrative about this issue.
Blown and overgrown, and people get excited and because it's Donald J. Trump.
What's overblown?
I mean, no, what I'm saying is people just get excited and they get so much anger because it's Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump in his first term deported 1.5 million people. So far, he has deported 160,000 people since he became president again. Barack Obama deported 5.3 million people.
Yeah, I mean, I totally take your point.
But it's because it's Donald J. Trump. If it was Barack Obama, it's okay.
But no, not just that. I mean, I think to Karen's point, she's making a point about the tactics here. And I think I agree with you in one sense. The Trump administration finds outrage extremely useful. That's one of the reasons why, for example, DHS posted this on X today. It's a poster that says, "Help your country and yourself. Report all foreign invaders." They are trying to get a rise out of people. However, the tactics are different. The numbers are different. 23% of all arrests are non-criminals. That is way more than it normally is.
They are literally trying to make it seem like catching criminals is a bad thing, which is insane. Statistics will show you that 1 out of every 3 illegal migrants has a criminal history.
And I have updates for you on the numbers, by the way. Since June 6th, there have been 330 illegal aliens that have been arrested as part of these riots in Los Angeles. 113 of those illegal aliens had prior criminal convictions. And overall, and this includes arrests of American citizens, there's been 157 people arrested for assault and obstruction-related charges, including the attempted murder of a police officer with a Molotov cocktail. So who is funding these illegal aliens who are coming in with this very professional riot gear? It's a question everyone in this room who cares about truth should be asking. And we encourage your help in trying to get to the bottom of that question. Indina.
Thank you, Caroline. About Elon Musk, he issued an apology.
The confusion just keeps rising. Representative Anna Paulina Luna stated that 88 members of the Antifa group have been arrested. This group should make people realize that all of this is staged just to stir up more drama between the left and the right, and all Americans at that. There are literally people that are paid to go there and cause more problems. And if people are easily influenced, they'll join in and start with the violence and burning things and looting as well. But it's all started, the majority of the times, by Antifa. There are literally boxes and crates and pallets of bricks being dropped off in protest areas. If that doesn't tell you that all this crap is staged, I don't know what does. But hopefully this proves it all, and people will stop falling for it. There are rumors going around that the National Guard and Marines are there to arrest, antagonize, and intimidate U.S. citizens, when in reality, they're there just to protect government buildings. That's it. That's literally it. But the media wants you to think that they're all there to steamroll American citizens that rebel against Trump's authority, which is just not the case.
Something to all you dipshits who have no idea what's going on in LA. I have been on the ground for the past 4 days. I just got back from the federal building. I was detained twice. The National Guard are not being deployed against U.S. citizens. The Marines are not being deployed against U.S. citizens. They are being stationed at federal buildings across the country where riots are taking place. They do not leave the steps of those buildings. They do not touch the sidewalk. They are there as security for those buildings. Those buildings are federal property. They are allowed to operate there. If you do not storm the federal building and you do not attack the National Guard, you will not be attacked by the National Guard. They will not retaliate against you if you do not threaten them. And by threaten, I mean try to break their ranks. I stood 2 inches from the National Guard today. They did nothing to me. I watched several other people who were protesters stand 2 inches from the National Guard today. They did nothing. If you do not try to enter the federal building, they will not do anything. They are not allowed to operate in a law enforcement capacity because the cities that these buildings are in will not allow them to. Calm down and stop being stupid. I'm Cam Higbee and I'm an investigative journalist. I cover protests around the country.
Now, LA in particular has seemed like it's had riots every 10, 15, 20 years tops. It's just a repetitive cycle over and over again. And there still are people alive today that have seen lots of these riots. I want you to check this out here. Some people are saying that this feels more orchestrated compared to a lot of the riots in the past that felt organic. You're not going to want to miss this. Let's get into it.
Went through, the Rodney King riots, the George Floyd riots, and this riot. Is there any difference?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The 1992 riots were organic. You had different parts of LA County that were upset, and you had fires and looting because the Black community was spread out through South LA, Compton, South Central, Ladera Heights, different areas. And you can actually see that, when you looked at the city as a whole from, let's say, Hollywood, you saw the fires from different parts of the city. These riots that are occurring now, which like the 2020, what I call the Antifa BLM riots, and now the 2025 LA riots that are happening down, they're very centralized, and they're not organic. They're being funded by NGOs, and it's a leftist Marxist agenda that's being pushed to make it appear as if there's a widespread support for this. For example, the current riots that are occurring right now, it's just happening in downtown LA. And the curfew that was imposed by Mayor Bass is only for, I don't know it off the top of my head, but I think it's a 2 square mile radius.
Yeah, right? It is.
Or a 1 square mile. Yeah, I mean, that's where it is. I mean, anywhere outside of that 1 square mile, life is proceeding as it always has been, and it doesn't look like anything is going on. Whereas the difference in 1992, whether you were in Hollywood, Culver City, which is further out west, and then Hollywood is up north past downtown LA, and obviously south of downtown LA, you had fires, looting. I mean, it was widespread. This isn't anything like, what's going on back in 1992. And it just kind of shows the incompetence of the current leadership of not being able to get their arms around something like this. And they are, because of their lack of leadership and I would say common sense, they're letting these protesters spiral out of control because many of them, the playbook is for them to start in downtown LA at City Hall and then make their way down to the 101 freeway, which really pisses off a lot of people because that's, it's a highly traveled freeway in LA.
It's a parking lot. And you stop me from getting home. I don't care. I don't care if you're free for free candy bars, reindeer, and Santa. I hate your guts if you delay me from on that highway.
And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you.
I hate you when I'm driving home.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's no widespread support for this.
Now, you'll notice that the news is very good at dividing and conquering American citizens. This is a perfect example. The news always shows the most appalling footage they could find to get people talking, to hit on their emotions, so they can just argue against one another, when in reality, there's something more nefarious going on behind the scenes. Check this part out.
We had a chance to talk to told us ICE agents arrived this morning here right around 6 o'clock in the morning. We don't know how many people were detained. One of the farm workers we said ICE agents were chasing some of their co-workers around until they were detained. One of the workers described what he saw when they arrived to work this morning, and another one was talking about just the anxiety that how it is coming to work, not knowing if in fact Ventura County was going to be a target again for ICE agents. The sentiment here was they couldn't believe what they were seeing, but then again, they thought, not surprised that ICE agents were here. Now, in a statement released earlier today,
off on the fact that immigrant citizens, immigrant voters, foreign-born voters have gone tremendously to the right on this issue in 2024 and 2025 versus where they were in 2020. Closest to or trust more in immigration. You go back to 2020. Democrats, get this, held a 32-point lead on this issue. Immigrant voters were in the Democratic camp. Jump forward to 2024, 2025. Look at that shift, a 40-point shift to the right among immigrant voters. Republicans now lead on this issue by 8 points over Democrats, more so than any other group.
As you see, the media is trying to keep us in a feud with one another. The majority of Americans actually feel the same about immigration, or at least have similar feelings about immigration and what is going on. But they're trying to keep us glued on the fact that ICE is outnumbered in certain cities, and that these sanctuary cities are fighting back, and that the sanctuary cities are the ones that are actually doing the right thing. That's what's getting all the headlines, when the majority of cities that are actually working with ICE and the police working together are how the majority of people actually feel. Now, this is where it gets messed up, because you're going to see it in the sanctuary cities first that the police are not going to work with ICE, so they're going to figure out a new way to get control of all of these illegal immigrants, and this is where the technology is going to come into play. Trump has already started a deal with the company Palantir to start the ultimate predictive policing program, which will in turn keep us all down and stuck into a future dystopia. And you better believe it is on its way. It is coming. Now, I'm not saying that a bunch of bombs are going to go off, but what I am saying is your normal life, being able to walk around and feel like you have some freedom, is going to go away. Mark my words. Absolutely, it will. This is their plan. And they're trying to keep us all distracted and do all of these gimmicks and have these crazy riots, because every time that there is one, they take a little bit more of our powers away. They write some new stuff in the law. They put something else in a new bill, which takes away our freedoms. This is the big picture that we all need to be concerned about. Palantir is not going to be good for us. We're all going to be living in a dystopian future. Trillions of dollars is going to be spent on AI infrastructure in America. We are going to be the guinea pigs of AI for the entire world. And if China is still in the race, both of us will be on our race to the bottom. So maybe we shouldn't be so concerned about who's going to pick our tomatoes, and we should start learning on how to grow our own tomatoes and foods instead. You guys are watching The Unexplained Outlook. Drop a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.